please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Where Are They Now? Today we're going to look at somebody we never made a video on. We never covered them because I didn't really want to. I've generally made it a point on YouTube to not cover people who are family channels, because I don't want to risk putting the children on blast or shining a light on them that could be negative, because when you are a family channel, you are responsible for the image, the brand. The parents, well, they're very controlling, I've discovered. Even those that try and fob themselves off as lovely and free-going, right? No, you're not. You are for as long as you can get a decent shot out of it, and I don't care for family channels at all. Much like child actors, I feel the risk is far too high for what is considered a mediocre reward. Money, clicks, clout are not a reward worth having. Today we're going to be talking about somebody who felt the internet's disgust and felt a consequence on a larger scale called BadOPCode. BadOPCode is a terrible parent, simple as that. And we are going to be taking a look at what BadOPCode has been up to since their disappearance, their removal from the YouTubes. Because they've been about, they're still somewhere, and then I discovered, courtesy of one of my lovely mods, that they are back-ish. Yes, it's more than likely where we're going to end up for most of this video, in fact. Because why not give it a good listen? That's foreshadowing. We're going to start by telling you a bit about them, courtesy of a Wikitubia account. BadOPCode was originally a YouTube channel owned by Michael Martin. The channel predominantly centered around prank videos, which many YouTubers that called this out dubbed child ABUSE, and usually that was in fact the case. In 2017, Mike ended up uploading a video saying thank you for the love and support and that the channel wasn't dead and they'd be returning soon. Well, that didn't happen. In fact, they had announced on the Mummy05 channel they were going to be uploading content there. The channel was then renamed to Family05 and they did daily family vlogs. Two of the children had been removed from their custody and returned to their biological mother. In 2018, BadOPCode, along with the Family05 channels, were terminated due to repeated display of child ABUSE violating YouTube's community guidelines, which they had been known for violating at least a year before the channels were terminated. They tried to use the Family05 gaming channel that got terminated for ban evasion. Now you would think at this point that perhaps they'd stop. Go get some jobs, learn to be better parents. Don't use your children for clicks, clout, and money. Hell, the attention you got went mainstream, as in mainstream media was covering it. Not very trustworthy back then, certainly, and well, definitely not now, but that notoriety may well have fueled one's ego. In November 2018, the kids created a YouTube channel called The Martin Boys with no parents. At some point in 2020, it was renamed to The Martin Family, because Mike and his wife started to appear in more videos, but it was used mostly by the kids. Because the children owned the channel and not the parents, YouTube allowed them to keep the channel running. However, should Mike take over the channel, it will be terminated for ban evasion. We're going to that channel soon, it's still there. On a number of separate occasions, Mike Martin was accused of uploading content to that channel because he had filmed it, or he was holding the camera. Add to this featured Cody. Cody was one of the two children taken from his custody, and yes, it got him a little bit of trouble. Needless to say, much like any person who is repeatedly yeeted off a platform, it takes a long time to get that itch out of your system. And I was somewhat impressed that BadOPCode wasn't trying to use alternative platforms, because some were emerging at this point, and there are some now that he could take full advantage of if he wanted to. Whether they would yeet him as well because of optics, at this point I can't be certain, and it has been 7 years, nearly, since the removal of BadOPCode, so whether the internet would have moved on fully is up for debate, of course. Now, while they were once gamers, vloggers, pranksters, they had to stop being that for quite a long time. But they didn't, because, as I've stated, that itch never truly passes. And so we have to go to the Martin Family YouTube channel, and you discover that over a number of years, the Martin family, 5 years to be exact, have been uploading content. If you go back as far as 4 years, you find that the father, Mike, does start to feature in the content more. You know this because as time goes by, his hairline recedes even further and then just vanishes entirely once the children have started to grow up. Content itself doesn't do that well on views, not tremendously. The channel sits at 79,000 subscribers, which is fantastic for the kids. There is a channel description, and I want to read that. Yes, we are the Daddy05 kids, but we aren't kids anymore. We are now known as the Martin family. This channel is still owned by our nana. The content is edited and uploaded by us, the Martins. Our parents were wrongfully accused of things they did not do, but made the best choices they could for all of us at the time. Our parents have turned over all rights of the website and any Daddy05 Family 05 archives to us. Of course, our parents are in our videos. They are our parents. They've given us permission to use any footage they record as we see fit. Just a thing. The Head Honcho Mafia website, not available. Just thought I'd let you know. Any other website mentioned is not here. Okay? Additionally, our parents were wrongfully accused of things they did not do. Stockholm Syndrome, I've heard, is quite contagious. And I'm sorry, but many creators that called you out, Pyrocynical and Repsion especially, showed the evidence that prove they did do it. They did do the very things they were accused of that led to their termination on YouTube. And by the way, YouTube, yes, they'll act when they see these videos, but they will then go and see the evidence. They will evaluate it for themselves. Your mother and father especially, would not have been removed from the platform if he was innocent. He was not innocent, therefore he was removed. But I understand wanting to defend your parents because they are your parents. I'm sure many people would do the same. You're wrong to, but that's your choice. So now you have some background information. I want to show you some of the activities of the Martin family, but focusing mostly on Daddy05 himself. That's not to say the others aren't going to feature, because they do a sodding podcast together. Yeah, they do a podcast. Okay. Mike is quite the musician. He loves his music. He actually uploads it to SoundCloud, and it gets uploaded to YouTube as well. Now, I take no real issue with anyone being creative musically in the slightest. I think if you have the willingness and the desire to be creative and express that creativity, you should, of course, do that. So I should probably play some, shouldn't I? Yeah, I'm gonna play some now. Not gonna lie, the guitar riff throughout this song, I actually don't mind it too much. I do the lyrics a little, but I had to speed it up slightly so it felt a little less clunky. The fourth bar didn't help. Nobody seems to care. You'll find many people do care, Mike. They do. They care that you still exist on a platform they don't think you should be on. And like to dislike wise, it's 2 to 1, you know, so you can't complain too much. But the things that do harm you in this, that I should probably highlight. The obvious one, the elephant in the room, isn't Mike, although he is a close second. It's the auto-tune. No offense intended to anyone that uses auto-tune, but it is a cheat code, like using Ozempic when you're super morbidly obese and you don't change your eating habits or exercise. It's like making YouTube videos as your true authentic self while doing it in what can be considered cosplay. If you know what I'm talking about, you know exactly the type of creator I'm taking a shot at, and I'll continue to do so. Now the song itself is called Pull Me Out. It was released 8 months ago. Mike is a very creative individual musically and does like to make his own music. There is other music on the channel. For example, you have Baby Don releasing a song called Neon over a year ago, which has mostly downvotes. It didn't go down very well. People aren't such fans of this kind of content. And the top comment, he went from bullying his brothers to bullying my ears. You should probably hear a little bit of that as well, shouldn't you?
That boy a bitch, what he be on? Smoking, see colors like neon. 21 pics like a Dion. That boy a bitch, he don't be on. I'm seeing colors like neon. I'm seeing colors like neon.
Well, that was embarrassing, cringe, and I hated every moment of it. You should be ashamed of yourself for even doing something like that. You're far too white. For shame. Stick to your lane. Get into emo, like your dad, who was trying to sound a little bit like Papa Roach. A little, failing. Hell, even Papa Roach don't want to sound like Papa Roach. Now, this isn't the only area that the family like to frequent. Another area they like to frequent, as I earlier stated, was a podcast. So let's go to one of their episodes, shall we? Because I feel like it's only right we show you what they've been doing on that front as well.
Blah, 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 blah.
What intrigued me about this episode was they started off strong by getting themselves into frame, making sure their audio was balanced, because they didn't do it beforehand. No. They just fired it up and went for it. The top comment on this podcast reads, "This is what zero accountability looks like." And there is no most replayed part of this episode. Podcast episodes as a whole average about 10 to 12,000 views. So they're not doing so bad. However, as far as podcasts go on any channel, for these guys, this isn't going to go very far for them, because while they are getting upvotes, they're not going anywhere. To prove my point, we go to the Social Blade, where their channel gradually grows at a rather slow rate, but their viewership isn't going up much. Meaning a lot of their viewership comes from the few newer subscribers, because as many are leaving as are arriving. But the ones leaving are not unsubscribing, they're just letting this fall by the wayside. They're not doing much as a channel, if that makes sense. Viewership reflects
For
that.
this first podcast, we're gonna do a little bit of an introduction. So like, what do you want to do as an introduction? I'm that guy that all these people made bad videos about and have that bad reputation as the child on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm that guy.
And I'm the oldest son that was involved in it too. And they treat me like a dickhead too.
As far as podcast episodes go, these two have really good chemistry. And for an episode that's 30 plus minutes long, I'm impressed they bothered to stretch the rest of the episode out, because that's all anyone needed if they were new to the channel. Although the fact you called them bad videos, Daddy05, that part intrigued. No doubt I misspeak on your part, because the majority of those videos weren't bad videos. You're a bad person, and they rightfully called you out for your behaviour. Your son may enable it or condone it, but the rest of the world does not. So when people say zero accountability, this is why. It's called historic revisionism. Your lived experience is one thing, but yours is skewed by perspective and your own bias. What we all saw came from a completely unbiased interpretation, because we are not skewed, and our opinions bias are not either, by any affection towards your father.
Those who know us know we're Daddy05. We used to make vlogs and pranks and stuff back in the day. And, you know, a few of those videos, they got out of hand. And we got into some unnecessary drama that could have totally been avoided with one phone call. But don't you think that?
What?
That whole thing could have been avoided with a simple DM.
I mean, yeah, it all could have been avoided if people would have went about it right and cared about getting to the bottom of something other than making it a witch hunt.
I am, no lie, so glad you've started this by introducing yourselves as the crappy people from back in the day. And going into it further, because, you know, some things are just a joke, bro. If you know us, you know it's just satire, bro.
Because the adpocalypse was going on at the same time. The adpocalypse. Remember the adpocalypse?
Yeah, where ads weren't doing as good.
Yeah, because nobody wanted to be in anything and all that. And there was no content out there.
Right.
So we became that content.
Do you remember when I said historical revisionism? Yes, this is it. People find topics all the time to talk about. Things that are considered swerves. Yes. You were not the straw that broke the camel's back. You were certainly not the first piñata. You became a piñata because people were paying attention to you for a while. You were getting, and it's a shame your channel's gone because the comments would show it, a lot of criticism for your parenting style. Your arrogance. And this do you no favours. But this is Daddy05 to a T. He's not interested in taking responsibilities. Anything he's ever said in the past as a form of an apology is redundant. He lost custody of some of the kids he bullied. It's hardly a surprise he will now choose the hill to die on because he has at least one decent relationship with one decent child. In his eyes, decent child. Whether they are or not is subjective, is it not? Reality is, the Martin here and the Martin Jr. have not learned their lesson, which is why, as far as content creators go, they are not going to go that far. They will grow and continue to do so for as long as they are active as creators. But this is the extent of their time on YouTube, really. Now, the episodes do continue on. There are 4 episodes in at time of recording near the end of November. The episodes are all over the place, whether it be political discussion, tech failing, or them starting by not actually being prepared to start. I think that's their quirk, and they're going to continue with it. Podcasting is quite popular at the moment, and with this podcasting, anyone can do it. To varying levels of success. It is arguably easy content. No offense to those who are podcasters that put in effort, but a lot of what saturates the market now is low effort. But that's the point, isn't it? You usually get a number of people in the room who have the ability to think on their feet. Quick-witted, not easily bothered unless you want essentially IBS content. No, I don't want a renaissance of, if you've heard of it, the Kumite. But what I mean is, you get people like that in a room, or over Discord, Zoom, whatever, and you record it. That natural chemistry comes through and anyone can do it. It's why, and if you are paying attention, there are people looking down on podcasters now, because anyone can do it and some people really shouldn't. And there's certainly a debate as to whether or not Daddy05 should be one of them. Now, the podcast episodes are only on YouTube as far as I'm aware. Can't find it on Spotify or SoundCloud. So this is a very localized podcast where they could broadcast it on BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey. They could probably do it on Kick as well as a live stream if they wanted. They could do it on Twitch as well. They could have it anywhere if they could be bothered. But it is my firm belief with Daddy05 especially, the individual is not as interested because he wants YouTube fame, something which he is unlikely to ever attain, ever. A silver play button is always possible for the Martin family YouTube channel, but I do not believe, because of his reputation and his inability to take responsibility, or accept responsibility, and the fact the channel outright states he has none to take, because it's just a joke, bruh, they will never be able to push beyond that plateau they are fast approaching, as if they haven't already reached it. Podcasting gives them content which may in turn grow the channel, but it also means more eyes on them, and more people telling them they suck.